Recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relic's Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relic's Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And you are live once again on Relic's Radio. It is August the 9th. 2018 here in Southern Kentucky along the beautiful Cumberland River. I am your host, Diggin' with Seven.
And I'm your co-host, Tennessee Jeff.
What's going on tonight, Jeff?
Oh, not much, buddy. Of course, dodged the storm today. I had a little bit of outside work to do, and of course it rained probably maybe 2 inches, but it was all in about 5 minutes, so it wasn't a good soaking rain.
Yeah, I know. We got a lot of lightning and everything, and I was kind of worried that we might have storms, that come up about showtime. And I've been thinking about, I've got a generator, and I've been thinking about running just a dedicated line to my internet and also to the control room up here to where that, should the electricity go out or we have a storm or anything, I could just fire that thing up. But we've been lucky so far, not had any problems, but we sure did need the rain. I'll tell you that.
No, we sure do. It's dry. It's real dry. And I mean, like I said, well, the day before yesterday we had a good rain, but it all happened in like 5 to 10 minutes, and it just runs right off, and it doesn't really soak into the ground. But so you're always thinking about the generator. That's a pretty good idea. So
yeah,
they do that. Well, if you buy me a generator, I'll hook one up down here too. So
yeah, you never know whenever something like that's going to happen, and that's kind of what I got it for, because we went through an ice storm. It's been several years ago now. And a lot of people lost power for a pretty good while, and I just had it kind of as a backup, and hadn't really used it all that much. But it'd be good to do that.
Yeah, I remember that ice storm very well. Mom and Dad was in the Bahamas, and here I was stuck at home by myself, and then I think we was without power for like 14 days. So I ended up moving in with a good friend of mine until we got power back. So it was a rough time. I remember that ice storm.
Yeah. And Mark Hoover is asked in the chat. Well, I'll tell you what, before we get too far along, go ahead and tell us who all's in the chat. We recognize those folks. The
first one, Nick Hayes, was the very first one. We got Ohio Relic Hunter. We've got Bill. We've got Jordan. Hey, there's Mark. Everybody's seen Mark. Let's see, moving on up, there's Tennessee Jeff. Oh, there's Earl from Virginia. Hey, there's Ken. That's the man with the T-shirts.
That's the man right there with the mojo.
Sure is.
Putting them in the shirts. I tell you what, I seen a Facebook post the other day, and you and I mentioned it in our video that we did Monday when we hunted on the talking clips, and Missouri Mike is in as well. Mm-hmm. But we mentioned it that, I had seen a Facebook post that somebody had got their Relic's Radio T-shirt and went out and hunted that day, and they found something great, and I said, yeah, it's the mojo that Ken and them are putting in. And I see also that Heath Jones is in. And before we get too far, I want to do an update on Connie. She is still, as most of you know, she had surgery on Tuesday. She is still in the hospital, but may get to go home tomorrow. So please keep Connie in your prayers. I talked to Heath just before the show, and got an update from him. So we hope that that is the case, and we hope that everything goes well with Connie and her surgery. As most of you know, she's got muscular dystrophy, and she's battling with that illness. And, you know how rough that can be. So our thoughts and our prayers are with Connie, aren't they, Jeff?
They sure are. I've got a good friend that's going through the same thing, and she's not doing very well at all. And, of course, then I found out Connie had it. And, I mean, it's a terrible disease, but, I mean, she's in her prayers. Yep,
she is. And Mark Hoover had asked, are Britton and Riley allowed to stay up this late? Well, I'm going to tell you something, other guys. We had scheduled Britton Lockhart and Riley Bryant, but we have boycotted Britton. He won't be on the show tonight because of all the buttons that he's been finding here lately. But we do have Riley. What's going on tonight, Riley?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's going great. Glad to have you on the show. And
yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And I was just joking. Britton, are you there?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hello, Britton.
It's going great. I tell you what, you got a lot of people that are looking at your Facebook page. I'll tell you, on the two buttons that you found one of them Tuesday, and did you find the other one today?
I did. I found the other one today and the other one on Tuesday. They were both at the same spot. I'm still working it. Only been out there twice for about 30 minutes each time, so it's looking to be a promising site, that's for sure.
Well, tell everybody about both of those buttons.
So the first one I ended up finding, it's my bucket list, button find. I've been wanting to find one of these, since I do live in Georgia. I found a GMI cadet button from 1851, and it is 100% Confederate button, and the GMI is the Georgia Military Institute, which was a school that basically, taught a number of Confederates basically how to fight, how to shoot, and everything. And they were sent all around Georgia during the Atlanta campaign, including Kennesaw Mountain, where they actually, the Confederates won that battle. So this spot that I had researched was a log cabin that was burned way, way far back by Sherman and his troops. But they had a campsite up there, and it took me a while to actually find it and get permission. But once I did, it ended up being one of the best sites ever. So it's still producing. I'm hoping it'll produce, hopefully, my dream find, which is a CS plate. But we'll see what happens in the future.
How long have you hunted this site, Brent?
An hour.
See, that's pretty good. That's a productive site, you can say. But let's see, it was Ken asked, you can go ahead and tell us where you found it at. So, but no, you don't have to do that.
In Georgia.
In Georgia. Well, Ohio Relic Hunter wanted to know the GPS coordinates. He's a little bit more specific on it.
Yeah, he's more specific.
I think that's that.
And that is an 1851 Georgia Military Institute button. How rare is that button?
Pretty rare. I don't know too many people that have found one. It's I was looking for just a plain old Georgia button, and I ended up finding that one. Butch Holcomb and Glenn Watkins, who hunt here in Georgia as well, they found, I think, one or two of them, and they actually came from sites that are really, really close to where I'm hunting. So it's kind of, it's kind of funny, but, most of them, they're kind of sparse. Some, I've heard of some found, I don't know if you know who Laszlo, Peter Ellis, but he hunts in South Carolina, and he was hunting a few camps, and he'd found, I think 2 of them in a Confederate camp one time, or one of his buddies did or something. But definitely a rare find, that's for sure. Getting on top of a Confederate relic is, every relic hunter's dream, and it just ended up happening for me on Tuesday. I wish it would have happened for me on my birthday. That would have been really cool.
Oh, I bet. So what about finding it twice? Tell everybody about you having to find it twice.
Man, well, so basically, I mean, I went out there Tuesday and hunted for 30 minutes. The rain set in actually right after I found the Georgia button, so I had to leave. But I did hunt through the rain a little bit, right near that button because I was just so excited. I had to pound it out while it was thunderstorming. But I went back today, this morning at around 10:30 with my buddy Jay, and he was already, mad as heck for me for finding that because he's been wanting to find one his whole detecting time too. And he found a couple bullets, a couple flat buttons, and things like that. But we went back today, and he found a piece off of like the finial off of a cartridge box. Found a few flat buttons and stuff, and then I told him, I was like, "Dude, Jay," and he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "I've got another button. I think it's a Georgia." And he's like, "No way." He starts running over there. He's not thinking it's right. And then I break open the quad, and I'm like, "What is that?" And it was a Union Marine Corps button, which is really cool. It's got the eagle and stars and anchor. Full shank on the back, but it is smooshed. It's not in the best of shape, but it's still an awesome recovery. I mean, it's got a Civil back mark on it, which makes it Civil War. So I'm very excited about that too. The second Civil War button out of that site. So, and that one was Union, which is weird because I'd researched Confederate activity in that area, but that cabin had to have been a Union stopping point as well. As they were coming down that main road. But it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. Two great buttons in one spot, and you've only hunted it for an hour. So, Riley, what do you think about that?
I wasn't too happy when he found it, but I mean, I was happy for him.
Yeah.
I was happy for him, but I can't say I was. Myself was happy.
Right. Riley was getting on to me the whole time when he was coming to Georgia. He's like, "I'm going to dig a Georgia button right in front of you, and I'm just going to be happy about it and everything." And he dug with me. He found bullets and casings and everything else that he could find in Georgia. But
oh, wait a minute, Britton. You left out that I found.
It had to be 5 days later that I found a GMI button.
Hey, Britton, you forgot that I found those 4 eagle buttons.
Oh, yeah, look out. Yeah.
So technically I found an Eagle Eye and 3 General Services in Georgia.
Yep. No, I was in Tennessee.
Close enough.
Yeah, you can get all the General Service you want in Tennessee. I mean, there was full of them.
And Kentucky too.
Yeah.
We got. That's about all we find. We find a few infantry and everything. Yeah, you guys hunted after the Chattanooga Relic show, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Who'd y'all hunt with?
We hunted the first day. The first day we hunted with, I think, Scott, Debbie from Mine Lab, Jay, my dad, Britton. There was a lot of people out there the first day.
Jay was there too. But yeah, then the second day when we were, in Tennessee near the Relic show, we hunted. It was just Riley, me, and Jay. We were hunting that one site. Jay had to leave early, of course, because he had to go back to his girlfriend. But Riley and I stuck it out at that site, and we kept hunting and kept finding relics. And then the next day we went across the street, and Riley found a fired bullet, and I found like 8 drop bullets. So.
And y'all guys sound like me and Seven. We were at the New York camp. Of course, Seven, he wanted a New York button. I mean, worse than anybody on that hillside. And then, of course, I was like, I was trying my best to dig a New York button. And then, of course, I dug down. And I got this beautiful button. You could see the shank sticking out and everything. And, of course, I was like, Seven, look. And he just looked at me kind of, tell me that's a New York button. And then, so I turned it over, and it was a General Service. And I was like, man. So.
And he said that you guys got to experience the legendary Scott Bullet Master Duncan. I think he found about 50.
Oh my gosh!
He found about 50 bullets, didn't he?
found too much at that site.
Yeah, he did. He tore it up.
Yeah, he absolutely tore it up. I was taking a break at the car because, I was only finding, with me, I've got to say I'm really spoiled when it comes to bullets because I can just go to spots that I know about where skirmishes and, there's so many battles in Georgia that I can dig bullets all the time, but, I was digging maybe 2 to 3 bullets an hour, and I was just kind of like, I'm going to take a break at the car because it's really hot, and I took a break over there, and I hear Scott Duncan, walking up, and he just dumps out his pouch, and it's literally a full-size pyramid of case shots and 3-ringers and every type of bullet you can think of, Henry casings, and I'm like, where did you go? And he goes, on that same hill, man. And I'm like, gosh.
And Ohio Relic Hunter said, you talking about Mr. Barberless? and then Ken Guthrie said, Barberless in Alabama. Yeah. That's one thing that he has not found and probably should have found. He said he found the chiggers there. Yep. Hey, Riley, we've been talking to Britton about his finds and everything, but I know that you've recently been in a Civil War trash pit, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have. I got into it about 2 weekends ago on a Saturday evening. I was hunting a spot where I know a bunch of people have hunted in the past. It was a Confederate camp, and it's been really hunted hard, but I found in the past there, I found several bullets, a half real, a soldier's gold signet ring, and numerous flat buttons and a few eagle buttons mixed in. But before I had found half of a 1770s officer's sword guard that had a dude on a chariot, like riding a chariot on the side of it. And a friend of mine, one of the old-timers in our area, had hunted the same spot in 1991, and he actually had the matching half of it. And he actually gave that to me for me to have to keep them together. But so I decided to go back there because it was only one guard, like one side of the guard of it. So I figured, well, why don't I just search around and try and find any more pieces of it? So I was hunting along, and I got like a weird, it's right by the railroad track, so there's tons of railroad spikes and stuff like that. But I know that there was artillery action in the area, and I know somebody found a cannonball on that property. So I decided to dig a huge iron signal, and I pulled out a railroad spike, and then I rechecked the hole, and there was another signal in there. So I kept digging, and then all of a sudden my shovel just disappeared into the dirt, just flew in. And I pulled it out, and I noticed that the end of the shovel was completely covered in ash and broken glass and brick. So by then I knew that I was inside a trash pit, so I started to dig it out more, and that's when the bottles just came. The broken bottles were just everywhere. But, yeah, it's fun, and I'm still not done with it.
Man, I hope you find some full bottles in there. And then the last time my shovel disappeared like that, I was over an old well. And then, luckily all of it didn't give away at one time. Just the signal I was digging gave away. And then, of course, yeah, it ended up being like what we could tell, like 30 or 40 foot drop. And then, luckily it just,
wow.
Yeah, I was very fortunate there. So, but yeah, I'm hoping there's some full bottles there for you. And plates or whatnot. You never know what they threw away. They threw away pretty much everything.
Yeah, I did find pretty much everything in there is broken, but it's broken into, there's a lot of like white china, like plates, like serving platters and stuff like that. But one of the first things I found in there was the bottom piece of a plate, maybe about 30 or 40% of the plate, that had a maker's mark on the bottom. And I didn't know how old this pit was, because I know that there were some older houses in the area too. So the maker's mark was Edward Wally Ironstone on the bottom. And I saw it said Ironstone China. And I'm like, oh, crap, something made in China. This must be something modern crap. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They mean China as in pottery. But pulled out my phone right then and there and looked it up, and it turns out that mark was only used between, I think it was 1854 and 1860. And the dude was based in England, so it was an English dish that was shipped over to the United States. But I ended up almost entirely piecing that plate back together. I'm only missing one piece now, one little sliver off the side. But and then I found a teacup and a full-size bowl with the same marking. It was all one little, like a dish set.
And at these Civil War sites and everything, I know the one that I'm working that me and Jeff call the 44 Woods. I found a pocket of 44 caliber Colt 44s there. And as you dig those signals, there were pieces of plate like that were coming out. And a couple of years ago, I dug a piece out that had the maker's mark on the bottom, and it was John Muir and Son, Ironstone, China. And I looked it up, and it was period. It was like 1858 to 1861. So that those soldiers had that. But it really surprised me that soldiers would have fine china like that, didn't it you?
Yeah. I was thinking the only... I think that they stole them probably from houses around the area, probably because they didn't have any dishes of their own, and I'm guessing officers just pretty much got to take whatever they wanted. But especially for these abandoned houses that were maybe already burned or the people had left because of the war. But, I know a lot of things were stolen out of the houses in that area. And it's actually a pretty cool short story that I'll get to in a minute about that a particular event in the area. But
yeah, hold that thought right there because we're coming up on a hard break and we need to run a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Seven, we's looking good in our new Relic Radio T-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectives.com done brung them to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. Detectives.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectives.com.
That's the best commercial.
It is. I tell you what, I love that. I love that commercial. I sure do. And guys, we are going to give away a One Relics Radio T-shirt tonight to some lucky caller. So go ahead and give the number out there, Jeff.
It's let me put it up here: 270-495-0315.
And you will put that in. He's already put it in the chat. He's right on it. Riley, we didn't mean to break you up there a while ago, but go ahead and continue your story.
You're fine.
Go ahead.
One of the things I was going to say about these soldiers robbing these houses in the homes that me and Britton and Isaac have actually hunted before in my area, which was big during the Civil War, had a lot of, I'll just say, old money in it, and it still does. So it was really booming in the 1830s and 40s. And there's a lot of home sites around there in the town that are already gone or have later houses on it. And one of the reports I was reading was talking about how these Kansas Jayhawkers had come into the town and robbed all the houses of the silverware. And another unit came in, another Union unit, and their chief officer, came over and said, what the heck's going on here? What are y'all doing? And they were all drunk and, didn't know what the heck was going on. And they started shooting at each other and I think there were like 8 or 9 Union soldiers that ended up dying in the end, just over some freaking plates. But one of the things they were saying is when the unit pulled up or rode up to the town, these Jayhawkers were running everywhere with bags of silver spoons and forks. And one of the spots I hunted, one of the yards that was known to have been robbed by them, I found 3 silver spoons that were all stepped on and mashed that date literally to 1861. So I found it pretty interesting that could possibly confirm the story of them running around with the silver spoons and the forks.
Man,
But,
that's a great find. So, and then
Yeah,
the story to go with it. Oh, it is. So, Britton, how do y'all do your research? Do you what kind of books, or you just internet research, or what do you? How do y'all do it?
It's really just, looking for me, it's just basically looking at reports. I use the official records to look in, basically looking through troop movements and, what they were talking about was, their maneuvers and everything, which ways they were marching. And then after that, I usually plot on a map, where those sites used to be that they're talking about. And, if it says, we crossed a creek and, half a mile after this house, we camped in this field, I know, hey, well, there's probably a camp in one of these, 3 fields over here that have houses on them. So, I'll go out and try one of the houses, and if it doesn't pan out, I'll try the next one. And, usually one of them at least will have, a good amount of bullets and, maybe a button or 2 in them. And I know Riley does the same thing. We both kind of learn with each other when it comes to research, and sometimes I'll help him out with research and he helps me. So it's kind of like we've got an arsenal with me, Riley, Isaac, and Nick, and all of us. We just kind of help each other out, and it's a good way to do it. When you get a group of people, because you can get a lot of work done.
Oh yeah, it sounds like. Well, we've got a caller who's on the line there.
Hey, this is Charles Deschler calling from Michigan.
Oh, Charles.
Hey, Charles,
how's it going?
You going good? You got a question for these young guns here?
Well, I figured there's too many rednecks talking at one time. We had to get a big Yankee in there to break it up a bit.
That'll work.
That's right.
No, I tell you, I've been really enjoying your show, Seven and Jeff, and all the shows. I listen to most of them every week, and I'm really getting an interest in relic hunting, and mostly up here in Michigan, I just hunt parks and ball fields and yards and that. But I just, I don't really have a question for the guys. I'm pretty impressed with them, though. I mean, these are young kids that, boy, when I was their age, I wasn't doing what they're doing, and they're pretty sharp at it, and that's just good stuff. So good job to you guys, and I guess, the other thing I do calling in is introduce myself to everybody. So if I ever make it down south, I may have to drop in on you guys. I'd love to go out and find me a bullet or a button or something like that.
You got
the research you guys do is incredible.
So you got an open invitation here, Charles. I'll tell you.
Yeah, sure.
What'd you say your last name was?
Deschler.
Can you spell it?
Deshler.
Okay. I put all of these in our Skype account and everything, put them in the contacts, and then if you ever call back in, I'll know who it is. But we appreciate the call, and you're in the drawing for a T-shirt, and we appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, cool. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys doing the show every week. Like I said, it's good stuff, and you guys down there in Georgia, keep it up. I just come across you guys here not long ago for them young kids there, and pretty impressive what they're doing at such a young age as far as digging relics and that, and the research they do. It's mighty impressive. So,
Charles,
you guys,
I always told myself is like I got into relic hunting in my probably late 30s, And I wished I'd got into it years earlier. And everybody I've talked to is the same way. And they've got Riley and Brenton's got into it at a fairly young age, so that's real good.
Yeah, I got a gold machine, a Mine Lab XT 17,000 when I lived in Montana. My wife and I lived out in Montana for about 6-7 years back in the late 90s, or mid 90s actually to 2001. But we moved back to Michigan and we've been here. So I've had that machine all along, but about 3-4 years ago, I got into it a little more serious. Sold that gold machine. It was actually a PI machine. I didn't even know it. I take it out a few times a year and just drive myself crazy with it, but I didn't know how to run it or nothing. I wasn't online at the time or anything like that, but but I don't do too bad now, but the whole Relic thing's got me baffled. I spent the last few years trying to learn coin signals, of course, and but just hearing about you guys with the Civil War stuff and the colonial stuff, I just I got a hankering for something. I better get on it.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate you calling in. So, but
all righty,
appreciate you listening.
You guys take care, and we'll get back on the speaker and start listening again.
Okay.
All right. Thank you
appreciate
very
the
much.
call.
All right, cool, man.
Hey, Brenton.
Take care, guys.
He was talking about y'all's age, and I noticed the other day on Facebook that Barb had you at 21. Tell the story on how that came about.
So that's really funny. But I got on Facebook when I was about, I think, 16 years old. And, at the time, you had to be 18 in order to, make public posts on your account. So I set my birthday to be 1997 when I was really born in 1999. So I was able to make, public posts on my page. And, everybody saw that on Facebook. And, I had some of my detecting friends were like, oh, well, you want a beer next time we hunt? And I'm like, well, I'm only 19. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, my profile's a little bit of a lie.
So, Brenton, tell us, how did you get into relic hunting?
Oh man, it all started when I took a trip to Charleston, and my dad's friend was joshing with me while we were playing on the beach. This is when I was like 11. And he was like, there was a shipwreck out here, and, this whole ship came down right along this beach over here, and thousands of tobs and gold coins just spilled all over the beach. And once I heard that, I just started digging. I probably dug close to 200 to 300 holes, and my dad was saying to me, he's like, when are you going to tell him that he's probably not going to find anything? And then he was like, no, I like to see his persistence. And so I was like, digging this hole, and my dad's friend actually had a 1901 silver dollar. It was really, really corroded, but he had it in his pocket. And at the time, I didn't know too much about coins, but he came over when I was digging my hole, and he was like, have you found anything yet? And I was like, no, I haven't really haven't found anything. And he goes, oh, well, keep searching. And as I was talking to him and looking at him, he slipped the Morgan silver dollar in that hole, and I went back to digging in that hole, and I pulled it out. And I was like, oh my, I got one. I was like, I got one. I started running across the beach like you see Nat Geo diggers. I was like jumping, hooting, hollering, and my dad was like, oh, come on. He was like, you've got to be kidding me. Now you're getting my son hooked into coming to the beach every year and slap on the side. And so then, I started getting more skeptical because, I saw the date and, I saw a 19, but it looked like an 18. And then I processed it in my mind to be a 16 somehow. And then he was like, tell you what, I'll buy that off you right now for $40. I was like, no, $40. I'm like, it's got to be worth a lot more than that. And then I'm like, it's my first real find. I want to keep this. And so then my dad said, well, I used to metal detect when I was your age. I used to find, silver coins and stuff and a couple of relics every now and then. He used to do it, and he found a good bit of stuff. I mean, nothing really like Civil War or anything, but old coins and stuff, because he was interested in the coins, and he did it for a little bit. But he told me, he was like, you might like that. So since then, I mean, literally, it was like I was waking up in the morning watching Nugget Noggin, Aqua Trigger, all these people on YouTube just find stuff. My parents had to take away my iPad because I was watching so many treasure hunting videos. They ended up buying me my first machine, and my first find was a wheat penny. Actually, that was my first ever find, was a wheat penny, which is pretty funny. And then after that, you know, my dad's a real estate agent. He was selling a house in downtown Atlanta, and I kept hunting and was finding some old coins and stuff, and I was just so ecstatic. And the funny story is, this is where I had my first really good find, was when my mom, she had driven me to the site where I was finding all these coins, and she was like, all right, you have 30 minutes. I got to meet somebody after this, and you know, you can hunt for a little bit. And I'm like, all right. So I get out of the car and I start hunting, and my sister's in the car, and it's pretty cold outside, so my sister decides to put the seat heaters on for the car, and that in turn caused the whole car to break down. So my mom was stuck on the side of the road, and I came back to the car to quit my hunting, and she was like, well, I guess you can go out there a little longer. And she was super mad, and I was like, why? And she's like, my car just broke down. It's going to be a while before and I'm like, heck yeah. So I just got my kept hunting, and I went to the curb strip. I kid you not, I went to the curb strip. I got a 42 signal. I was using a Mind Lab at the time, X Terra. And I dug down 6 inches, and I found a breastplate. And, like, at first, I was, like, super shocked because I got it. It's, like, one of my first videos on YouTube. But when I found it, I was, like, holding it in front of the camera, and I was, like, stuttering like I had, like, some mental problems or something. And then I was just in awe, and I didn't know what to say because I'd seen them, you know, in videos and stuff, and I knew that it was an amazing find. But then when I got back, you know, I mean, and to be honest with you, I was only hunting that site because it was an old home site. I didn't research, you know, any Civil War activity or anything like that. So that was my first Civil War find, which was, you know, absolutely incredible. And later that night, you know, I started researching, you know, that whole area, seeing who was there, and there were actually Union lines that came right through where that house was, and that's the reason I found it. But that's what sparked my interest for sure, for relic hunting at least.
Oh, I bet. What about you, Riley?
Oh, my story is not quite as interesting as that, but my story is my dad actually got interested in it, and I don't even know what made him think about metal detecting. I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention to him at that point, but he got a metal detector because we live near a railroad track. And I mean, it's not Civil War or anything. It's like 1870s or something. But there was a station that was about 2 miles from our house. And he, of course, you know, got it and thought, oh, we're going to go find somebody's buried gold, their stash of $20 gold pieces or something. And he got interested in it and went over there and dug around, and I was with him, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, we're not really finding anything. We dug like 40 bottle caps or something and nothing else. And we were using a Tesoro Tejon, and he just finally was like, you know what, I give up. This is boring. I'm not finding anything at all. And he went home and put it in the closet. And since I'm homeschooled, you know, I finished my school early, and I got it out in the yard one day, and it's just, you know, messing around, and I actually found a wheat penny in my front yard. And I'm like, hey, that's kind of weird because my house isn't that old, from like the 90s or something. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should hunt around here more. So I went and asked my neighbor if I could hunt his yard because there were some super old trees over there. And he said, sure. And I went over there and poked around for a while. It ended up being a completely unhunted, like early 1800 site that was, I mean, I found so much stuff in the first couple of weeks hunting it that it was just, I couldn't even, I was over there every second. I think I found like 40 or 50 flat buttons, you know, skeleton keys. I found several seated coins, a real, just bunches of stuff over there. And every day I was over there. And then finally it started to dry up. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to find some extra spots. and that's when it really blew up. I was mainly hunting for coins at that point, but the relics were kind of mildly interesting to me. But what really just spurred it for me for Civil War stuff is we were coming home from an event that we'd gone to at this old plantation, and we were going right through the middle of this Civil War town, and I look over and they just demolished this Civil War church that had been standing there, and it was a construction site under it, and it had just rained like a couple days before, and they hadn't done any more dirt work on it. So I asked my dad to drive it there. We could look at it closer. He goes over there, and I can see from the car that there's pottery and old glass and buttons and stuff just laying all over the ground. And, of course, by then I'd already opened the door. It didn't matter if the car was stopped or not. I'd already opened the door and was over there looking. And I found, there were literally like tomback buttons laying on the ground. And I found, I think like 10 flat buttons and an Indian head penny, but the erosion, it was weird. The erosion had made little pillars of dirt. Like there was a little pillar of dirt, and the relic would be sitting on top of this pillar, and they were like 3 inches high. So you could just look around for a pillar and know that something was on top of it. And I saw this one little pillar that looked like it had something bigger on it, and went over to it and picked it up, and I'm like, oh, crap, a large cent. That's awesome. And I was rubbing on it, and I'm like, that's not a dang large cent. A stupid token. I'm like, God, I was pissed. I'm like, a stupid dang token over here with all this old stuff. I handed it to my dad. I'm all mad. He starts rubbing on it, and he's like, hey, there's somebody on it. Got some words on it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a dumb token. And then he's like, hey, there's a hole in it, too. He's like, it says War of 1861. And I'm like, it's probably a centennial token or something from like the 1960s or something. And he rubs it off and is like, oh, no, I think this is something good. And I still wasn't convinced. But he goes home and he researches it, pulls it up, and it turns out that it was a Civil War soldier's ID disc.
Oh, man.
And, of course, then I'm jumping up and down and screaming like, holy crap, because we saw how rare people had said they were to find. And this one had literally almost 100% gold on it. And it ended up being a chief surgeon of the 31st United States Colored Troops. And I got to researching the dude and everything, and he enlisted in, like, I think 1862, and he was 4'6".
Wow.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
He was really short.
Yes.
But he fought in the Comanche Wars and everything, and then I think he dismissed, I forget what he had. It was some kind of disease or something that he had that they gave him a medical discharge for. But then I started thinking, well, maybe I can find one of his relatives or something. But it turned out he married 8 times and had like 60 kids. And I'm like, there's no possible way I could find a relative of this person. Literally, there would be like 400 relatives at this point.
What do you do in his spare time?
I don't know.
Amazing story. I'll tell you what, you guys got a good start. Hey, let's run another ad, and we'll be right back in just a moment. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relic's Radio. Hey, talking about American Digger magazine, both of you guys are interns with American Digger, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I'm the videographer and Britton's social media intern, and we kind of go back and forth. He's kind of half. We're kind of half and half. That's our official titles, but like we both do pretty much the same job, and he works on videos and I work on videos, and we both just equally promote the magazine in any way we can. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun actually, getting to do all these videos and stuff. And Butch is a great guy. I really enjoy talking with him and hanging out with him.
Butch is crazy. I'll just tell you now, he is legitimately crazy. Y'all seen the video? I think Shannon Copeland is the one that filmed that, of them doing the dance before Relic Roundup, I think. Did y'all see that?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Oh, wait, I think I did see that. Wasn't Heath doing it too?
Yeah, Heath and Butch, they're doing this little dance, and Shannon posted it up, and then I put it on our Relic's Radio Facebook group, and Butch come in and commented on it, and he said, "Make America shake again."
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Britton, how did y'all land that job? Did Butch reach out to y'all, or y'all reach out to Butch, or how'd that come about?
So I wrote an article about my breastplate when I found it, that whole story about the car and everything, and it got published in the magazine. And I ended up going with Butch on a hunt, so I just want to go relic hunting with him sometime. And so we went to a few spots with Keith and everything. And I started filming. And Butch started with my videos and was like, "Hey, would you like to see videos from American Digger?" And I was like, "Sure, that'd be awesome." And then I started, sharing their Facebook page and helping grow the YouTube channel. At about 2,000 subscribers now, which is pretty good. But just really trying to get things out there, and it's ever since then it's just taken off from there. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Riley.
And Butch actually reached out to me. I was at the Charleston show earlier this year, and I was walking around doing some filming for my own channel, and I got some of the key displays and some of the the cooler displays there, and posted it on my channel, and it was kind of like a commercial already. But he was like, "Hey, can you post that on our YouTube? It'd be cool if you could be our videographer." And I'm like, "Heck yeah, sure, that sounds great." And I was already planning on going to all the American Digger shows anyway, so I'm like, hey, might as well. I'm going to be there anyway. But, yeah, it's been fun.
I've had the opportunity to hunt with Butch probably about 5 times at DIV, and every time I've seen him, he's either metal detecting or eating. That's the every time I've ever seen him. So.
Yeah. Hey, Riley, you're talking about that Chattanooga show. You won an award at that show, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I actually won Best Thug Relic for that ID tag that I mentioned earlier. I guess the judges just came around and happened to see it, and I think they heard something about it being my first real Civil War find, because, I hadn't even dug a bullet at that point when I found it. But, yeah, it was really my first real, Civil War military find, so it really, I guess they thought that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. What kind of detectors do you guys use?
I use a XP Deus and a GPX 4500.
I use the Technetics too, LCD.
See, I've been looking at one of the Technetics too, and then of course what I've heard, they're pretty good machines. So
Yeah, they are. They're decent. I mean, if y'all are planning on buying one too, I have a discount code. If you go on Technetics Direct, it gets like $100 off and free shipping. That you can use on that. Really good product. They stand by them, that's for sure. I mean, stand by them so much that, it started pouring rain and lightning yesterday. And, my truck, it doesn't have a cover over the bed, and I left my detector in the bed as it's storming. And I was taking a nap, and all of a sudden I woke up to it storming, and I was like, oh, I forgot to take my machine out. That's awesome. So I went out to the car and grabbed it. It was soaked, and I brought it back in. I just wiped off the screen, and it worked like a charm. Didn't even do anything to it. So
Britton, are you on the Technetics team?
I am. Yes, sir.
Okay. I was thinking you was.
Tell us about that.
So the Technetics team, it's basically a lot of Relic hunters. It's me, Russ Alberona, Nick Emilio. There's also Unearthed UK, who's a hunter in the UK. And there's this one other channel. I can't think of the name again. But he does like puddle digging and stuff. I think it's like amateur archaeology or something like that. But all we do is we're representing Technetics products through our videos and promoting them. And also I send Russ, who's basically the vice president of First Texas Products. I send him a flash drive of videos and stuff on it, and he makes commercials and stuff like that, for the machines, and puts the pictures that I take and finds on boxes and stuff, and just kind of gets the name out there to where we can display their products and really share them out there to show what people have found with them, and not just say, hey, this is a good machine, but we don't really know what people have found with it. We're all about sharing what people have discovered with those machines, which is good.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we got another caller on. Last numbers are 6963. Who we got?
Hey, it's Liz, Digging Canuck. How are you all today?
Hey, Liz, how are you?
How's it going?
I'm doing well, thank you. My question for Britton and Riley, is there one relic in particular that's their holy grail that still eludes them and that you're really hoping to get one day?
Oh, Riley filled up the bucket list already.
Hey, great question.
Yeah, mine is probably, if I had to say, pick a top number one, would be something that I'm never going to dig ever, and that would be a Tennessee plate, which is like rarity 50 out of 10. I mean, I think there's only like 2 or 3 in existence, but hey, I can dream.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm after, man. Tennessee plate, yep, that's what I want.
What about you, Britton? What's yours?
Well, mine, Riley's already found, my top relic that I'd like to find, but it's a CS plate. I'd really like a CSA style, Atlanta style belt buckle, which I'm now that I'm thinking about it, there could be either a Georgia box plate or a CSA Atlanta style at this cabin site. I'm really crossing my fingers and praying that there is one in that field, because I mean that would top the next however long I live for detecting if I found a CS plate. That's pretty much my top relic at this point.
It would be mine too, I tell you.
It would be great. That's what my New Year's resolution was, is to find a CS plate, but I've still got a few more months, so you never know.
There you go.
Hey, great question there, Liz. Did you have another question that you wanted to ask?
No, just want to let the boys know that I love watching them, and they're on my top 10 of people that I watch.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we do. And Liz has a good live YouTube on Sunday morning. Well, she actually has one on Thursday that goes on before our show, and I think maybe runs into our show a little bit. But we'll forgive you for that, Liz. But check her out, and we really do appreciate the call. We had Liz on as a guest, and she was a great guest.
Very great guest.
Yeah, she was. She said she was nervous when she came on. I don't know why, because she was such a great guest. But we appreciate you calling, Liz.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
You too, Liz.
You too. Have a good.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey, one thing that we asked everybody, and you may have almost answered it, I guess. You know, there is that one item, relic or Cohen or whatever, that everybody should have dug but hasn't dug yet. What would be yours, Riley? You think you should have dug it, but you haven't, and then I'll ask Britton the same question.
Oh, I think I should have dug a CF tongue by now. That thing's eluded me for so long. That's the one thing that I wanted to find for so long is a CF tongue. And I haven't seen it in person, but I know exactly where people have found them. And I've hunted all around that area and never found one. I mean, I hunt Confederate sites a lot, but, all I find are, dang 3-ringers. There are no infields or any Confederate bullets up here. It's dang dropped 3-ringers and eagle buttons in Confederate camps.
That's the way it goes. That's exactly the way it is here.
Yeah. What about you, Britton? What should you have found, but you just haven't done it yet?
I think for me it's a complete cannonball. I mean, I found 2 artillery shells so far. Actually, I mean, I guess you can say 2.5 because I found an exploded one that's basically half the shell. But I think a cannonball has really eluded me because I've been to sites, where I found probably over 100 or 120 cannonball frags, and then I just never found a shell. And Riley actually went to one of the spots where I was digging all those frags, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's got to be one shell in that area that I'm hunting. I just keep hunting so hard, and it's a little, it's awesome to be able to dig, fragments and stuff. But I'm just kind of like at that point where I'm like, I need to find a cannonball at this point. I'm just like, I need it.
Now, so Seven, what about you? What's been eluding you for the last 200-300 years?
You guys see what I got to put up with? Well, a U.S. box plate or belt plate, and somebody dug one right out from under me here back at the construction site. He dug 3 at that site, and I didn't get a 1.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, I think I should have found that. But, that's the way it is. You've always got that one thing that, you should have found. I mean, we've hunted Civil War sites enough. And, that I should have found one, but there's just, that's just the way it is, Of course, we all have a gold Cohen. Neither one of you guys have a gold Cohen, do you?
No. I have a modern one.
Yeah, that doesn't count. What about you, Britton? You found an old gold Cohen?
There's got to be a story behind this one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was?
I said, I was asking Britton, did you have you found a gold coin yet?
No, I've not. I've not found a gold coin.
Our buddy Matt Howell found a gold coin, and I'll never forget watching his video whenever he found that, and he was just shaking, as I would be too. And but he made a comment at the last of it there. He said, "What am I going to do with the rest of my life?" And I think that that we might say that, if we found one. But it shouldn't be that extraordinary to find a gold coin at a Civil War site, don't you guys think?
Oh yeah. I know people. One guy in my area dug 3 gold coins at a Civil War campsite.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think it would be out of the question to find that. Of course, you know, my only trime I found at a Civil War site, and I know Riley, back in early in July, you found was that your second trime that you had found?
I actually found 2 of them in 1 week.
Oh man!
So it was my first and second one, and they were both the same date, 1851.
Oh.
You know, it's funny when you find something like that, and it just kind of comes into a roll. You'll find another one like not long after you find the first one. It was like that's.
Oh yeah.
Like infield bullets. When I found my first one, it was like I found one the next day. Then the next day, then I run into where the most of them were. But say barber dimes or seated dimes, half dimes, anything like that. It's you find your first one, and then it just kind of just opens the door.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
that's the same with the buttons.
Do what, Britton?
I said I hope that's the same with Georgia buttons.
I hope it is too.
Yeah, I hope so too. I tell you, you know, but now you've done enough over the last week. I think you ought to slow down just a little bit and let the rest of us get some. Hey guys, let us run one more commercial here, and we'll be right back. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him Relic's Radio sent you. And our buddy Tim Henderson down at Murfreesboro, Tennessee, if you've got any detector needs, coils, or anything like that, he deals in all those things, and he will give you a good deal, and he will have the service after the sale. We highly recommend him. In fact, we used a couple of his coils Monday, didn't we, Jeff?
We sure did, and I really liked it. It was the little snake coil for the AT Pro, and it really done well.
Yeah.
So it surprised me.
Hey, Riley, I know that you're running a 4500 GPX. Tell us about the settings and everything that you use on that, and what kind of coil that you're using and what have you. I'm always interested to know, how somebody else is running their GPX, hoping I'll get a tip or something other.
Well, I use the stock double D coil on it. I don't have any other coils for it because I can't imagine it being any heavier than it already is. But I use the settings I use are I change my gain around, but I use my signal on 13, and really I kind of don't move them that much, so I don't really remember exactly what it's on. But pretty much the only thing I move are the signals and the RX gain, depending on where I am. But I had always used the deep setting.
Right.
But that's pretty much all I can remember. Unfortunately, I haven't used it in a while because it's dang hot.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it is a beast. There's no doubt about that. I've got the 15 by 12 coil on mine right now, and I can only,
oh my God,
I can only hunt about an hour with it. I don't run the, I've got the harness to run on it, but I'm not running it. But I tell you what, I've got the little 10 by 5, and that is a sweet little coil to use in the woods because you can get around in the brush and around the trees and everything. And I mean, it's got decent depth on it as well.
And it's quite a bit lighter
cool.
too.
Yeah, it
that
is.
big coil stop sign.
It is. And Jeff has got that 18-inch round commander coil on that thing, and I don't see how he uses that.
Yeah, I don't. Talking about Jeff Ford?
No, I'm talking about you.
No, I've got the 15-inch D-Tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then, of course, it's heavier than the 18-inch. And I didn't realize that at first when I bought it, but I bought it and done some trading with Don Dotson. And, man, at DIV, I put it on that morning and went about from maybe a quarter of a mile and thought, man, I've done messed up. And then, of course, finally I had to hunt with it. I mean, I left my other one at the room, and it's a deep coil now. It really is, but it'll work you to death. It's real heavy.
Hey, Britton, have you got a GPX, or have you used a GPX?
I did have one. I don't anymore, but I used one, and yeah, it's an amazing machine. I found my 20-pound parrot shell with it, and it read it loud and clear at 3 feet deep. So, I mean,
goodness gracious,
with the stock coil too.
Well,
yeah, and Britton, tell them about that. Tell them about that plate you found that was 22 inches deep.
Yeah, I dug a plate at like 22 inches deep. So Riley and I, we were not having that great of a day hunting wise. I mean, we were getting onto some permissions, and I think we found maybe 2 or 3 bullets between us. But we kept hunting, and then Riley was like, why don't we go to the sports site that I've been hunting, where I found a few buttons and things at it, and we can see if we find anything. So we were hunting there literally for like an hour and a half, and we only found like maybe 1 bullet. And Riley was like, all right, let's go to another site. And I was like, all right. So I start walking, and literally my coil is like dragging behind me, and I hear woo, and I'm like, whoa, what was that? And so then I go back and I listen to it. I'm like, hey, Riley. And Riley's like looking at me with like this, like what the heck did you just find kind of look on his face. And then he comes over there, and I'm like, dude, this sounds like a bullet. And he runs over, and he's like, yeah, it sounds like a deep bullet. So I dig about probably 8-9 inches in the hole, and then I put the pinpointer down. I can't even hear it. And I'm like, oh, man. And then Riley just looks at me like, oh, my gosh. So then I'm like, let's stick the coil in. And I kid you not, I mean, you could hear it outside of the headphones for like a mile. It was just blaring. And so I was like, all right, well, let's dig it out a little more. And Riley was filming me live as I was digging it with my camera. And I flicked over a piece of dirt, and there was a little green edge showing. And I was like, oh, it's a plate. It's a plate. And I went live on Facebook as we were uncovering it. And it actually ended up being a U.S. box plate. It had both hooks were, unattached, but it had, some carvings on the back and everything. And the U.S. print was actually still in the dirt when I had pulled it out and broken it apart, like it was still preserved in the dirt. I've got a video of that on YouTube too. But Riley was mad about that. And then 2 days later, I invited Riley to one of my permissions where I'd found about 20-30 bullets at it. And apparently, I wasn't a very good detectorist when I hit that last, because we went back and, I mean, we were digging bullets left and right. And I was like, how did I miss all this stuff? And then Riley called me over to film a Spencer casing, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that is so cool. I literally walked 2 feet like behind him, and I got a blaring signal, and it was a U.S. plate like 4 inches deep. And then Riley just looked at me in terror, and he was like, you did not just do that again. I was like, yeah.
He was literally on the other side of the yard when I called him over. And, it was along this line of bushes, and literally I was facing right where he found the plate. 2 more steps, and I would have found it.
Oh, man. So how did you guys meet each other?
We met through
Britton. Go ahead, Britton.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to let you go ahead.
Okay. We were, Britton came up here because he has a cousin that lives around here. And he came up and saw that I was digging in some Civil War relics around where his cousin lives. So he sent me a message on Facebook and wanted to meet up. This was in when was it, Britton? Like 2015 or something?
Yeah, it was like
2015,
early 2015, like January.
Yeah, it was like, I remember it was cold as crap. But we went out to one of my sites that I'd gone to, and I'd found a couple plates, that and some other stuff, and we poked around there, and I think we got like 3 or 4, maybe 5 bullets each, and I dug an eagle button and some other stuff. But then after that, every time he came up, we just dug every day.
We did. Every day. It was like dawn till dusk, and we didn't even eat.
Yeah.
Which was the bad. That's why we're so skinny, because we don't really.
Yeah, that's why we're so skinny. We had like a calorie intake of like 50 during the entire day.
Well,
a miracle we didn't just drop dead.
Yeah.
Seven and I, we parked the truck right there. It's got the cooler and everything, as you can tell. We don't go without eating.
Well, we don't always eat, but we've got something other to drink. We've always got an RC or something other there. You guys, I can tell, are so competitive with one another, and me and Jeff are the same way. And I know that each of you have got a funny story on the other one. Can you think of something just right off the bat?
I've got one. We were hunting this yard. We got a brand new permission on, and I was hunting, and I was like, "Oh, a Civil War bullet," and Riley was like, super jealous, and we kept hunting it, and then all of a sudden Riley gets in this hole, and I was super jealous, but I was just like holding it back. I was like, "Man, that is awesome, great job," and he kept pulling out 69 caliber bullets out of this one hole, and like you could see where they had dropped like a ton of them, like the cartridge box spilled. There must have been like at least I think there was about 15 69 calibers in this one hole. And then he goes off, he thinks he got all of them, and I came over with my NEL coil and I picked like 3 more, and then Riley was mad about that, but I mean it was kind of a shared kind of honey hole thing, but it was that was pretty funny. We also got one. We were detecting in the woods, and we were hunting in the back of these woods, crossing the creek and stuff and everything, and we were not. I mean, I guess we weren't really too fond of what was like you're not supposed to obviously cross the train tracks. When you're hunting, because you're not supposed to walk on them and everything. So we were walking on these train tracks, like going to sites and everything. And like one time we were like crossing, and this train just comes blazing out of nowhere. And so we're like frantically jumping to get to the other side, and Riley's pulling. It was like a movie scene. I wish it would have been filmed. I wish I could go back and watch it because it was just so funny. But
I got it. I got a really good one.
Go ahead.
Me and Britton were hunting this spot, this permission that we got, and we were hunting the back of it, and we weren't really finding anything. And we noticed there's this hill right to the left, and there's this little path that went through this super thin line of trees that was up into this grassy area. And we were looking at it, and we're like, okay, it kind of looks like it's this property, but we're not really sure. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm not really going to go over there because I'm not sure. And I was looking, Britton just goes through the line of trees and is over there hunting. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want him to be like on a camp and I'm over here, not finding anything. So I went over there too. And right as I came through the opening of the trees, I just see Britton running at me full speed, sprinting, carrying all of his stuff. And I'm like, oh, what the heck is it? What the heck is it? Is it a dog or something? So I turn and run too. And then I hear somebody screaming, hey, you. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't even know what's going on. Turns out that wasn't the same property. And that was the homeowner that was so mad that Britton had gone over there. And And my dad talked to him, and we went over and talked to him, and apologized, and he ended up actually giving us permission to go over there and dig. And it was pitch black by the time we got over there, and we were finding some stuff. And the dude has a light in his yard on a telephone pole, so we were digging around that. And Britton's like, it's a good signal. And it was like 9 o'clock, and my dad was like, we got to go. People are going to be weirded out that we're just digging in the pitch black. So Britton's digging on this good signal, and finally he had to give up on it and leave. And I went back and dug the signal, and it was 2 ringtail sharks in the hole, which Britton really never finds ringtail sharks because they're not really in his area. So he had to give up on that signal. There was those 2 ringtail sharks. But it was crazy.
Like, I was calling him as he was digging the signal, and I saw him digging, and he was like, oh, wow. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's 2 ringtail sharks. And I'm like, no. I'm like,
hey, how far apart do you guys live?
About 6 hours.
About 6 hours?
About 6 hours.
Yeah, well, for me to get to Atlanta.
Yeah. And you live around Memphis, don't you, Riley?
Yeah, I live about 30 minutes east of Memphis.
Okay,
so but what's funny is my aunt only lives like 10 minutes away from Riley. Not even that, probably like 5 minutes away. So, I mean, it's basically like I just stay at her house, and then we just go digging the whole time. But I got another story. Riley, remember the storm?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
We started hunting at the same house. It was the day before I dug that box plate. It was the same site, and we started hunting it. We only had like 25 minutes to hunt or so, and we were digging at it, and we were finding some sensor casings and some bullets. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this storm from hell just like broke loose out of nowhere, and it just it completely flooded the town. Lightning was striking everywhere. I was running with my shovel in the air, and I kid you not, lightning struck 2 feet away from me, and I almost fell on the ground. I was filming it all as it happened. It was so funny. We were on the porch getting pelted by rain and everything. His mom was in the driveway. We didn't even want to go out outside of the porch because it was just so rainy and stormy and everything. But we were filming, and then all of a sudden 2 big claps of lightning just completely shook my camera, and it was amazing to get on video because it just kind of documents our hunt together. And I watch that video every now and then. I just laugh so hard. It's just so funny.
Oh yeah, I kid you not. The sky was completely blue, and within maybe 1 minute, it was black. I mean, they were like 50 or 60 mile per hour winds. I mean, there were limbs and stuff coming down. And I remember we were huddling on the porch, and there was a big limb literally going down the road, just going down the road at 20 miles per hour. And all these cars were stopped and trying to avoid it and everything. And lightning was probably striking, I'd say, within 300 yards of us.
Yeah, and we both put our detectors on the porch, and mine started blowing away off the porch. So I had to go off the porch, and I was soaked. After I was out there for 2 seconds, I had to put it back on the porch and actually put it underneath the seat. So it wouldn't. Oh yeah, the rain was sideways. We were not protected on the porch. It was like Forrest Gump. Have you ever seen that movie where it rained for 5 days? It was like that. It was exactly like that.
I seen that video where y'all guys was on the porch, and it was raining, and you could tell it was lightning pretty bad. That reminds me of a story of 7. Of course, this didn't just come up out of nowhere. You could see it a long ways away, and of course it kept on getting closer, and of course the lightning, you could see the lightning striking and everything, and then I was like, "Seven, we might ought to get in the truck." And he just kept on hunting. Finally, it was there, and I was like, I'm getting in the... Of course, I got on the porch, and then, of course, he was out there. It started pouring down rain, and lightning was everywhere, and here 7 was out in the middle of the... And then the only reason I didn't get it on film because I was using my phone, and then it would have got wet because the wind was blowing probably about 60 miles an hour, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. You're out there with a lightning rod, and then of course next thing I know, he finally comes to the porch. I think the lightning finally kind of stung him a little bit, and then so we made a good clip on the porch after that was over.
Hey, as old as I am, I got to get my time in. I can't be running from storms. Hey guys, as young as y'all are, and as much success as you've had, has there been any jealousy from some of the older guys? Now, there's not with me. I'm just thoroughly thrilled that you guys are having the success that you are. But are you getting a little blowback from some of the older hunters in your areas?
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit. I know. I don't know if y'all remember when I dug that plate, that perfect box plate in Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of people, some of the older people, said that it wasn't possible to dig one that nice anymore. That I guess they thought I found it in Tennessee, but a lot of them were saying that. In fact, I had at least 2 of them accuse me of buying it, and I never buy anything unless I'm giving it away in a contest or something.
Right.
So that was. I'd say slightly offensive to me, but you gotta have to let that stuff just blow right on over. There's always going to be somebody like that,
and it's always jealousy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Britton? Have you got any blowback?
Blowback doesn't what? Like I guess.
Well, jealousy. People, saying that you'd planted stuff, or any kind of negative comments and everything on your success?
All the time. I've got archaeologists comment, a lot on my website, and they comment about how I'm destroying history. I try to explain to them how I'm documenting everything, and they're like, well, that's not the right way. And I'm like, it's just an ongoing argument. I really don't feel like talking to them at some point, but at some point you got to defend this hobby too. I mean, we're not destroying history. We're saving it. And I think with that too, I've had battles, where I've and I learned this really quick with YouTube too. I mean, I have to protect my sites now. I can't go and show, a main road on my site, show any type of what the field looks like, or any type of landscape or anything like that, because I've had 2 of my best sites that I ever found, and I posted the video literally the day I hunted the site, and within like 2 days I went back to my site that following weekend. I found dig holes just like everywhere, and I mean
Oh yeah. I've had that happen a lot too.
Yeah, I just tell people that do that, and if you're really gonna that take on to somebody else's spot and look that closely in the video, like seriously, just quit the hobby. Honestly, it's horrible. It's honestly horrible.
I'll tell you something about the archaeologists and the arguments that they make, and it was kind of reinforced whenever we were in Chattanooga. What detectorists like we're doing, you can see the fruits of our labor. All you have to do is just go to a show like the Chattanooga show, and you're going to get to see the history preserved there for people to see. And anytime that an archaeologist says anything to me, I said, we can show you the history that we have found, but we're not seeing anything that you guys are finding, because you're putting it off in some back room or something and hiding it from the public. And I think,
Then it takes thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars to pay them, and and we do it for free. And of course, there's certain sites that archaeologists need to work on, but I've had people comment like, "Well, you need to just leave it to the professionals," and most of them, I'll just type back, "I am a professional," and then of course you get all kinds of blowback, and if you're doing good, then you're going to have a hater.
Yeah, especially with these sites. I can't understand. It's these sites that are unknown in documents or anything ever happened there. Like one of these spots, I know one of the old timers in my area found about 6 or 7 years ago. He actually found a Civil War campsite that was at a construction site, and they had just bulldozed this patch of trees, and they were about to completely pave it over and put a McDonald's there. And I know he got in there and found all kinds of stuff. He found a $5 gold piece, at least 3 plates. I mean, he found all kinds of stuff, and there was nothing in the reports about anybody ever staying at that spot. Nothing at all. So, I mean, how would we have known that there was history there to begin with if nobody had ever gone there and hunted?
That's the point. I mean, we're finding sites, and we're pulling out relics, and we're saving history that, the archaeologists, they're at a disadvantage anyway, because they've just got to go out and dig a test hole with research that they do, and they may miss it a foot or so. I'd hate to go to any site that we detect and just dig a hole and hope that I'm going to find something other, because you can just be a foot off and not find anything. So I think it's a lame argument that they have that we're destroying history because, you take the buttons that Britain found. Another 50 years in the ground and those things are gone, aren't they?
Exactly. And I mean, even these plates, you see these plates with freeze cracks, a lot of these plates in Virginia they're constantly moving in the dirt, and all these rocks are constantly hitting against them. And, if nobody ever found them, they just eventually turn to dust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it'd be lost forever.
That's right. Yeah.
Same thing with the Indian arrowheads on the river. I mean, of course, it's illegal to hunt Indian artifacts down here next to the house on Cumberland River. Of course, it's on Corps land. Well, you can walk along and see an Indian arrowhead laying on the shore, and I mean, if you don't get it then, nobody's never going to find that. It's just going to be gone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're coming up at the bottom of the hour, and we certainly do appreciate you guys coming on and being with us here tonight. But before we close out, I want you to let everybody know about your channels, your YouTube channels, Facebook channels, and what have you. Go ahead, Riley, and then we'll go to Britain.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is called Civil War Unearthed, and I have a Facebook group under the same name. And I think we've got about 3,000 members on the Facebook group, and my YouTube's been pretty good as well. But if you want to see some good Civil War relics, you can go to my Facebook group and my YouTube channel and check it out.
What about you, Britton?
So my YouTube channel is called Depths of History. I've got probably about 102 videos out right now. Just almost closing in on 17,000 subscribers, which should be a real big milestone once I get to that 20,000. That's what I've been aiming for since I started. But got lots of videos on there, from colonial digging to Civil War, bottle digging, exploring. You name it, it's on that channel. I've also got an Instagram page and a Facebook page as well. Same name, Depths of History. So I want to thank you all for having me on the show tonight. It's really nice of y'all, me and Riley together. It's a good experience to share together.
I appreciate it.
It's been our pleasure, and we had a ball with you guys down there at Chattanooga. Got to meet you for the first time and walk around with you and talk with you. Wish we'd have had a little bit more time, and wish we'd have got a picture together. Didn't do that. There's a lot of things that me and Jeff wish we'd have done, but, we were trying to run 3 shows, and it just makes a big difference, on all that. But I tell you guys, if you have not checked out their YouTube channels, you're missing it, because these guys are the real deal. I mean, they're young, but they're good.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, that show went by way too quick. I mean, they say it's from 8 to, around 3, I think it was that day. I mean, it literally felt like 20 minutes I was there and then it was just done. I mean, it just kind of fast.
It really did. It seemed like as soon as I walked in, we had to walk right back out. Of course, I made a couple of laps around the and looked at all the relics and stuff. And then, of course, you guys was right there next to us, and I seen a lot of y'all guys stuff, and y'all have a great collection. And I mean, it was our honor for having you guys on the show tonight.
It was. Hey, Jeff, we've got a shirt to give away. We had a couple of calls. Have you run a random number generator and come up with a winner yet?
I have. I believe Liz won it.
Good deal. Liz, Digging in Canuck. Hey, Liz, if you'll send me your information to diggingwith7@gmail.com, we will get your shirt out to you. Send us your address and what size that you want. I know you don't want one of them wide pride. I've seen you. You're nowhere near a wide pride. And we appreciate these two guys here. And guys, we're looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you two.
Yeah, once again, I appreciate letting us be on the show. I had a lot of fun.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we want to get together and maybe we'll meet halfway somewhere. Of course, I guess we're kind of in the middle of both of you. But I'd love to get together with you guys and hunt some before I kick the bucket. And I'm closer than you think I am. So, we probably need to do something on that pretty quick. All you got to do is ask Mark Hoover. I'm about ready to kick it right now, according to Mark.
Yeah, he said you was helping Ben Franklin with the kite experiment.
Oh, yeah. See, my chat's locked up, and I can't see all that stuff. But, hey, guys, we appreciate everybody being on tonight. And if you guys will hang on the line, I'll get back with you as soon as we close the show out. Appreciate everybody that was in the chat tonight. Appreciate the calls that we had from Charles and from Liz. And congratulations, Liz, on winning the shirt. You're going to start finding relics as soon as you get that shirt, I'll guarantee you. And, hey, if you like podcasts about metal detecting, be sure and check out Beyond Sight and Sound on Sunday night and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern with Josh Kimmel. And then American Digger Relic Roundup on Monday night at 9 o'clock. And All Metal Mode is on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. History Seekers with Heath and Scott is Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. And then Hardcore Metal Detecting has 2 shows a week on Thursday and Saturday at 8 o'clock. And obviously, we have our show each Thursday night here on Relics Radio. And want to invite you back next Thursday. Until then, go out there and dig some history. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with 7 or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.